Good morning, citizens. Happy Wednesday and April Fool's Day. I thought I would do like a joke and do the thumbnail, like saying like Blake's case is dismissed, but I couldn't do that to y'all. And then one of my friends, shout out to Chad GeekyCast. I'm back on X, but not. I don't have it on my phone. I just have it on the laptop, so it limits my time on there. But my friend GeekyCast, he had posted like if you celebrate April Fools, like forget you, like like he was just saying April Fools is such a horrible holiday. So I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do anything April Fools. But for those who do celebrate, happy April Fools and happy Hump Day. It is Wednesday. We are one day away from this April 2nd hearing for Blake Lively. That everybody is refresh. Who else is hitting the refresh button? If you're in the chat or replay crew, let us know in the comments who else is hitting refresh like checking every couple hours to see if something has dropped. We're going to get into the latest Blake Lively update. No, nothing. There has not been a motion to dismiss unless it happens while we're, um, on the stream. But we're going to get into the latest on that at the end of the show. But today's Wrathful says Blake sucks. Good morning, Wrathful. Morning, Lart. And we also have Roses Wild Roses. I have an update on the was he eating cats and dogs? Shia LaBeouf. No, he wasn't eating any animals. But I did check into that, Roses. For those of you who weren't on our show on Monday, I believe it was you, Roses, that brought up the cat thing, and then it was dogs. It was just that he was shooting at stray dogs. But we're gonna get into the document, you guys. I'm so excited because I found the actual document for this latest lawsuit. It took me forever to find because in the Los Angeles Superior Court, you have to pay if you look it up by name. And so I was just trying to find it so I didn't have to like pay anything. And I ended up finding it after a while on Instagram. And so I have the exact document for that. So we're going to get into the whole case, break it all down. Hey, Vizio, happy April 1st. Working, but also listening. Okay, it's super juicy. It's kind of a deep dive, but I hope y'all are here for it. I'm going to get right into it then. Objection Live, we are still doing our Mortal Kombat style choose your fighter. FKA Twigs versus Shia LaBeouf. And this is the NDA Wars Part 1. We're going to have the NDA Wars Part 2 tomorrow with Kim K and Ray J. So we're going to be talking about confidential agreements and people breaking them. And in the case of Kim and Ray J, it was actually Kim who Ray J's suing her. So we're going to get into their lawsuit because it's the counterclaim and then her lawsuit as well tomorrow. But this is part 1 of the NDA Wars, and this is one of the cases that's kind of big right now. It's FKA Twigs. It's all over the headlines. We went over her trademark lawsuit yesterday, and I joked that, we were going to call her litigious Twigs, like litigious Lively, that the nickname that Perez Hilton has for her. Because I was like, who files 2 lawsuits in one day? And that's the thing that I'm trying to like reconcile is like if I'm team FKA because Shia LaBeouf is just a hot mess. I don't think I could be my fighter can't be Shia. He's such a hot mess. We're gonna get into like his messiness, but so I was like with FKA, I just don't understand, and maybe y'all can help me understand in the chat is like why she would like bring all these lawsuits and bring all this smoke on herself when um like she's doing good. She just won a Grammy. We're gonna get into everything, the latest on her, and what she was doing, and while out of nowhere these lawsuits came up, um, and they're not monetary. Neither one of her lawsuits is for monetary damages. I believe the trademark one does say if you wanted to give me something. Um, oh, that's my oven, you guys. I don't know if y'all could hear it beeping. So what I was saying was that I don't understand. In the trademark lawsuit she doesn't. She does say like whatever the judge or the jury wants, any damage, not damages, but what does it say? Like for any award that you find is reasonable. At the end like that, what they put. We'll read it, but she's not like asking for anything except for the right to her name, FKA Twigs. And then the Shia LaBeouf one that we're going to go over today, she's not asking for any monetary damages. It's kind of like with the Blake thing where it seemed like she just wanted the right apology. It's like the same thing here. She just wants him to say that the NDA is null and void, and she wants to be able to talk about what happened to her. But Shia's lawyer claps back. We're going to read her statement, Shawn Holley. And the lawyer is kind of problematic too. So we're going to get into the lawyer, Shawn Holley. I had no idea who she was. I was mixing her up with Blair Burke. So I did say on Monday that it was David's attorney too, but it's not. Blair Burke is David's attorney. This is Shawn Holley. We're going to get into who she is, but she basically clapped back and said, you got paid your settlement money, and now you want to, say that the NDA was illegal when you had representation and you got paid. So it doesn't make any sense. So we're going to get right into it. Let me make myself small, y'all. Let me make myself tiny Mario. Speaking of which, I saw on X that the Mario movie is doing super good. If anyone in the chat has watched it, I want to start doing like film content too, because I'm like a film nut and I love it so much. But okay, so there's mini me down there, and let me just share our first one. We're getting right into it, folks. Thank you for everyone being here so early in the morning. Okay, so first we're going to get into their relationship just to understand like what was going on with them. So this is inside FKA Twigs and Shia LaBeouf's relationship drama. From the beginning of their relationship in 2018 to now, FKA Twigs and Shia LaBeouf have been embroiled in a legal and public back and forth. Let's dig into the latest. If you thought the drama between FKA Twigs and Shia LaBeouf was over, like we all thought it was over, remember we thought this was going to be like the next big case because it's adjacent to Baldoni because she was on Man Enough, and we're going to bring that up in a minute towards the end when we do the FKA part. But Bryan Freedman represented her, which is Baldoni's lawyer. We thought this was going to go to trial, and in fact, it settled. So it's not over. It says it's sad to know that that isn't the case. In fact, there's been yet another update that will likely be sad to hear. So it says, but first, let's take a quick look at how they got into this tumultuous point in the first place. Grand opening and grand closing of their relationship. For context, the two began dating in 2018 after meeting on the set of the film Honey Boy. And this is a pattern that we're going to get into with Shia, that he basically makes a movie and then starts getting into a relationship with these women. Their relationship initially appeared low-key but serious, but things would sadly take a dark turn in 2019 when they broke up, and Twigs later alleged that their relationship was both emotionally and physically abusive. In an interview with Gayle King in 2021, she details some of the alleged abuse, explaining how LaBeouf would verbally assault her, call her disgusting and vile, and coerce her into sex. Twigs told King that there were loads of tiny little things that made their relationship rocky. So they're saying he's trying to silence her in this new one. She's saying he's trying to silence me. But it seems like she was able to speak prior to this NDA being signed, because here she is giving an interview to CBS Mornings. We know she was on the Man Enough podcast. Fast forward to December 2020 when the singer. So this podcast was in 2021. Oh, so why, I don't know why it says fast forward. But basically, in December 20, the singer then filed a widely publicized lawsuit accusing LaBeouf of sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional stress. She also alleged that the actor knowingly gave her a STD, according to Page Six. She further went into harrowing detail of the alleged abuse during a lengthy interview for Elle magazine. So she was just going on the press tour, just saying like this is what's happening. It's a miracle I came out alive, she said. I've woken up to him strangling me multiple times. I've not been able to breathe at his hands. So I didn't realize that it was like this crazy. As I was putting the show together, I was like, holy crap. But we want to talk about his method acting and all the roles that he was taking around the time and his most recent roles, and just maybe it's possible out of control method, and just what happens to actors when they get, too involved in their roles. The Transformers star denied all the claims, thought he did acknowledge that he had a history of hurting the people closest to him in an email to the New York Times. LaBeouf and Twigs were initially set to have their day in court in April 2023, but the date then got pushed back twice until the suit was ultimately dismissed with prejudice in July 2025. And they put out a statement committed to forging a constructive path forward. We have agreed to settle our case out of court. Both parties had said in a joint statement from their lawyers. While the details of the settlement will remain private, we wish each other personal happiness, professional success, and peace in the future. So where things stand down. As we told you earlier, despite things seeming to be over between Twigs and LaBeouf, legal flames were reignited on Thursday. Now it appears that the singer has filed yet another legal complaint against the whole star, alleging that he's trying to illegally prohibit her from discussing issues of sexual violence and sharing any information about acts relating to her own experiences of alleged SA. This all stems from a previously filed arbitration demand from December 2025, in which LaBeouf claimed that Twigs violated their settlement non disclosure agreement, NDA. So it's a form of a confidentiality agreement. When she participated in a past interview with THR and vaguely discussed her previous legal issues with him. And while the Even Stevens star eventually agreed to drop the arbitration demand, Twig's legal team is now seeking to rectify the situation. So basically, he files this arbitration, says, you violated the NDA, you owe me money. And we're going to go into the definition of arbitration and what it actually entails and what it is. It's basically court, but it's a private court. So that way the public doesn't get to see, or there's no transparency there. And so he's like, I want my money. And then, they were on his neck, and we'll read the actual filing where Matthew Rosengart's like, we were on his neck, whatever. Um, and so then he drops it. But then, like, instead of it just being like over, like, okay, we don't owe him no money, she like doubles down and was like, oh no, now I'm going after you because this NDA is not um legit or whatever. So I don't know if it's because she hired Matthew Rosengart and he like encouraged her to go after him, or if that's something she just wanted to do. I had like a slight theory that I don't know if it's true or not, but it does seem like she's speaking out on this, her past and all that stuff as things were coming out. And we'll look at the timeline where she's coming out with sorry, that is my oven beeping. I'm making some hash browns. Have you guys all had breakfast? Sorry about that. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I feel like it's like when you're watching the videos and there's the smoke alarm. Um, but okay, so where was that? So it says, as a result, they're seeking a court order aimed at blocking LaBeouf from enforcing portions of the NDA, which they assert violate California law. So she's basically saying, like, I want to be able to talk about this, and this violates a certain act, and we're going to get into what that is. In a statement from her lawyer, Matthew Rosengart, he explained, Twigs files this action to right a wrong, and also on behalf of other women who are the victims of, SA or sexual and domestic violence who do not have the resources to speak out and defend themselves from predators. But this sounds so much like Blake, and it sounds so much like everyone else. I mean, it sounds very like a PR statement. And I'm not saying that it's like they shouldn't be allowed to speak out or whatever, but it's just you start to see this pattern where at least I do, where it's like it becomes their whole story, their whole persona. And like she's super talented musician. And I know that she says she doesn't want to be known as a pop star. And I get that she wants to do like, work to help other women and stuff like that. But um I don't know, to me, it just seems weird, and maybe you guys can reconcile that in the chat for me and, like, give me feedback because it just seems weird, like, her career is, like, finally hitting the big time after, working hard for 10, 15 years. She's finally getting this. She got her Grammy Award in February. She's about to open in Coachella. It just seems like everything's going good for her. It's like, why would you want to then because it literally took me 20 pages into Google for me to just get into like regular news about her, like what she was doing prior to this dropping last week. And so I'm like, now everything is like flooding the zone with just the story of her victimhood. And for whatever reason, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me because I don't know why someone would do that. He continued, in doing so, she seeks to ensure that survivors of misconduct are not bullied or silenced like she was. But the thing is that Shawn Holley says that she took money for that. Like she signed the NDA knowing that she wasn't going to be able to talk about these things. Maybe she didn't know that it was quote unquote illegal. We're going to look into the legalities of it based on what Rosengart writes. But meanwhile, LaBeouf has since described the singer as a good girl during a recent chat on his channel or on the Channel 5 with Andrew Callaghan podcast and said that she was a talented musician and that he wanted both of them to work past their issues. So I have that video for you guys. Okay. So we're going to watch it. It's about 4 minutes long. I'm going to try and get through this. Let me look at the chat and just see what anybody else is going. We're going to look at the first complaint that she filed. Good morning to everyone that's coming in. Laura said she ate a protein bar. Yeah, I'm doing hash browns. and some coffee. I know some people don't like the mukbang, but I'll wait until I'm done to eat them. Rosa says, "I've not had breakfast." And yeah, she does look different than she did on Honey Boy because she shaved her head. So that's why she looks a lot different. So let's just get into the filings because I mean, there's 16 pages long. But we don't have to read all of it. We can like skim through some of the stuff because I want to get through it all. I have like a really cool show for you guys. It's got pretty much the whole entire story from beginning to end. You guys will be better able to understand these two. And at the time, I felt like, wow, this is such invasion because I was like, I know way too much about these two people now. By the time I finished putting together the show, um, but it helped. I mean, it helped me understand the situation a lot better. So as you can see, Freedman is her lawyer here, and this is the complaint that she filed for battery, assault, sexual battery, and then it's battery, and then it's just regular assault. It doesn't say sexual assault. So keep that in mind because that's something that Shawn Holley is going to argue that she did not claim sexual assault. Um, when I don't know if there's any like word sleuths in the chat, like sexual battery versus sexual assault. Um, I don't know if it's a Bill Clinton situation. I did not have relations with that woman. I don't know, but if it's just like a word thing or if it means the same thing legally or if it doesn't. Sometimes I wish I had like a resident lawyer like Ron Sombrano on Popcorn Planet, like that I could just ask. But hopefully some of the other lawyer creators might delve into this case, like LGA or NAG, might want to look at it and see, you know, what it entails with NDA law. So there's her name, Talia Barnett. You're right. That's FKA TWIGS. So it's her real name. And it says Shia LaBeouf hurts woman. And like the thing that's so like not weird to me, but when we get to the TMZ portion, which is just kind of like all the news on Shia like over the years, I didn't go all the way back. We're gonna look from the time she filed the lawsuit up to present. But I mean, I'm not gonna go over it, but I did look all the way back to 2008, and I'm like, he had like problems with all these other women. So I questioned, like, did because FKA Twigs is from London. I'm like, did she just not? And you know how most celebrities are like, they don't run their own social medias, they don't look at news. I'm like, did she just not know that he had a problem with alcohol and abusing others? Because it wasn't just Mia Goth. They got together right after him and Mia Goth broke up. And it was just he was constantly getting into bar fights. Like he probably had like 6 or 7 bar fights prior to meeting FKA Twigs. So I just wonder, like, I mean, it should say he hurts women and men because I mean he was getting into all these um bar fights, it seems. But um yeah, we'll get into how these other women wanted to be part of the lawsuit and then didn't. And in fact, Mia ended up getting back with him and having a baby. So I don't know if it's just he's a nice person when he's not on alcohol, when he's sober, or what, but saying he uses them, he abuses them physically and mentally, and he is dangerous. But if this was all true, right? Like, I don't know. And this is not me trying to shame FK. Like I said, I think I'm more leaning towards FK, but I'm just running through it. He's dangerous, but then why would you take settlement money if he's that dangerous and you're trying to prove a point and you don't want um, was it Bryan Freedman that, you know, was like, you don't want all your stuff out there? Because that's another risk that you take when you like take someone to court, you know, the discovery process or whatever. Because I was actually proud of them too. I was like, Shia has a baby now. FK's career seems like it's, you know, getting better, like, you know, taking off, whatever. And I thought they were just gonna like part ways and then just let, you know, like he was an alcoholic then. And I thought he was doing good, but apparently he wasn't. Apparently he relapsed. So I don't know what happened, but for too long, LaBeouf has sought to excuse his reprehensible actions as the eccentricities of a free-thinking artist. And so that's one of the things, like, is he method or is the alcohol the problem? I feel like it's a little bit of both, that after acting for so long in all these like crazy roles that he's kind of lost himself. And he did post when he went to jail for the criminal trial in New Orleans that we're going to get into as well. He did post something that said free Shia. Um, and I was like, I wonder if he meant like from his mental prison. Like, I wonder if like the real Shia is in there somewhere and like he's just like all these different personalities. And we'll look into all his movies and stuff because it's really intriguing, like him as a character. But I mean, he's bad news. If like he's, I can't even believe that he hasn't had like more like pushback from law enforcement, because I'm talking like 6, 7 bar fights. He got into a bar fight in London, in Austin, in where else? Like Georgia, and then this latest one in New Orleans. It was like he was just like collecting bar fights in states like it was Thanos rings. It was crazy. Even though his history of violent behavior was well documented, many in the media have treated LaBeouf as a harmless figure of fun, which has helped enable him to perpetuate his cycle of abuse of women over the years. Which, I mean, this could be true because he was still making movies and stuff. I'm like, how are people still hiring him? He's out of control. Even when he did Fury with Brad Pitt, they said his method was out of control. There's nothing funny about the exploitation of and battering of women. This action has been brought not for personal gain, but to set the record straight. But see, it's like it's not for personal gain, but then she took the settlement. So it's like, I don't know. And like I said, maybe she just took it because she was just like, no, my career is about to take off. I'm just going to take it. So maybe it was just bad advice. I wonder if she's going to claim that because everyone's been piling on Bryan Freedman if she's going to claim something on Freedman. Um, the days in which LaBeouf can mistreat and harm women with impunity are over. So it's really well written. This is written by Bryan Freedman. Talia Barnett, professionally known as FKA TWIGS, is an internationally successful singer-songwriter and actor. Is it Talia? I think it might be Talia. I'm thinking because it looks so much like Tallulah from Tallulah Willis, Bruce Willis's daughter, but I think it's Talia. Now that I'm looking at it, so my bad. Was involved in a tumultuous relationship with LaBeouf shortly after they finished working on the motion picture Honey Boy, after LaBeouf had employed a charm offensive on Talia, a tactic she now knows he used on other women. And yes, this is actually probably true because everyone from Mia Goth he met on the set, and then he dated who was the other girl? We'll get to the girls that he dated, but yeah, also met on the set. So, or they did like a music video together or something. Um, he was engaging in grooming, gradually gaining Talia's trust and confidence with the intent of abusing her. What followed was a living nightmare for Talia. Over a course of months, LaBeouf engaged in a continuous stream of verbal and mental abuse towards Talia, uh, belittling her and berating her after the slightest perceived insult by LaBeouf. LaBeouf isolated Talia from her friends and family, making it so her daily existence and routine revolved around LaBeouf and only LaBeouf. His verbal abuse escalated into physical abuse, during which LaBeouf became increasingly violent towards Talia, which is weird because I'm like, did the statutes of limitations expire? Like, why wasn't this sent to criminal court if it was like domestics like this? So maybe someone can answer it in the chat because it seems like horrific stuff, and I probably should have like some kind of warning if you're still like listening or whatever. What is that called? Like a trigger warning that it's going to be talking about like DV. On one horrific occasion around Valentine's Day 2019, LaBeouf forcibly slammed her against the car. So this is all I thought that he did. I didn't know about the strangling. I just thought like he got out the car and was in a manic episode and slammed her. After she was trying to escape from one of his manic tirades. In fact, LaBeouf even admitted to another woman whom he was cheating on Talia with at the time, that he had dragged Talia out of the car by her collar. LaBeouf kept Talia in a constant state of fear by openly storing live firearms throughout his home, including in the bedroom he shared with her. Finally, and most dreadfully, LaBeouf knowingly transmitted an STD to Talia without ever informing her beforehand that he suffered from it. And you know what's just crazy? Because this whole thing with the car, it happened to Mia Goth before they met, except he didn't throw her against the car. I think he got out of the car in like Germany and was like about to do something to her, but like it was all public. And so he just gets in a taxi and then he tells a friend or somebody like, if I didn't leave, I would have killed her. So like, I don't know if she just didn't read the news or she just didn't think it was true, or I don't know. Maybe she just didn't know that that's, you know, that he was that kind of person. But I mean, there was public record of him acting reckless. That LaBeouf had infected other unsuspecting women. Simply put, LaBeouf's reckless disregard for the health and safety of his partners makes him a danger to women everywhere. And so, like, this I do agree with. Like, if somebody is still actively, like, going, like, woman to woman and hurting all these people, like, obviously call them out. But sometimes, you know, like, when there's, like, they have families and they've, like, oh, it was, like, something when they were, like, super young or whatever, and then it comes back up. I don't know about how I feel, like, when it's like they don't pose a threat to society anymore type of thing. Um, but I mean, maybe it's still they still need to be held accountable. I don't know. So you guys could tell me in the chat. I'm just kind of like just thinking through it, like why like why she brought the case and why she didn't see the signs and all that stuff. Although Talia had suffered greatly and will bear the scars of LaBeouf's abuse for the rest of her days, she will not be labeled as a victim. But the thing is that she keeps talking about how she's like a victim in this and how hard it is. And we'll look into the two articles. Instead, Talia had triumphed over LaBeouf's abuse and stands ready to hold him accountable for his actions. Together with Carolyn Foe, another survivor of his abuse, Talia sought to avoid this action by requesting that he voluntarily seek the mental health and substance abuse treatment he so desperately needs. And supposedly that's what Mia Goth is trying to get him to do, just go get help. And I mean, that's fair. If she just told him, like, all you need to do is go get help, I realize that you have, like, substance abuse, alcohol problems, and, like, your mind's all messed up from method, like, go get help. And, I'm not going to file nothing, but he refused. And that he just make a donation to domestic violence shelter. So it's like she kind of gave him the out to, like, better himself, and he just didn't want to. Talia and Caroline simply want LaBeouf to take affirmative steps towards healing himself and in turn to stop the cycle of DV towards his future partners and keep them from suffering. Which, he got back with Mia, and I don't know if it's Mia on the call, but they say that there's a man and a woman that got called to his home, and it doesn't say like anybody's names, but supposedly the call is like a woman who's saying, just go. And he's like, not trying to leave the house. And there might have been some kind of like DV encounter with Mia Goth that caused them to split up in 2025. So again, she was trying to warn, whatever. So I don't know why she had already gotten out. They had already gotten divorced and everything. He gets with FKA TWIGS. And then when she files this, he says, Mia saved my life because everybody left me and she was the only one there for me. So it seems like a lot of manipulation. And there's a whole article that I'm going to pull up that says Shia LaBeouf's mental manipulation. So somebody close to him calls him out. In response to this peaceful overture, LaBeouf played games and downplayed the seriousness of the situation. His attorney cruelly dismissed the STD LaBeouf had infected Talia with as not that bad. So this is Shawn Holley, and we're going to get into why she's problematic, most recently in the Tory Lanez case. LaBeouf attempted to dissuade Caroline from allying with Talia by sending Caroline an unsolicited email in which he falsely disparaged Talia. LaBeouf also threatened Talia, claiming that he was in possession of personal text messages and other information that he could use to embarrass her. So this might be why she settled here, this line here. In this effort to intimidate Talia, LaBeouf engaged Talia's former assistant, Noelle O'Reilly, into improperly providing him with private and confidential information about her. With these threats, LaBeouf clearly hoped to terrorize Talia into submission and keep her from taking any further action. LaBeouf's scare tactics will not work. He has no power over her anymore. Talia now brings this action to seek some measure of justice, not simply for herself, but for many other women. Talia intends to donate a significant portion of any monies received in this action to charities dedicated to assisting victims of domestic violence. So we don't know what she got in the settlement or if there was a donation made or anything like that. Never again will another woman be forced to undergo the brutal treatment that Talia and others experienced. This case is being brought on behalf of all these women that he's treated in the past, and for those women who will be spared his abuse in the future. So he's no longer with Mia Goth, and he's with this new girl, and we're going to see that it has not stopped. TMZ just reported, and we're going to get into that. There's somebody took a picture of him screaming at his new girlfriend. So, I mean, he's just a terror. He's just a terror. So let me go look at the chat real quick. Let's pause. We're not going to go over, I'm not going to read through all the facts of the case because I wanted to get into the other one. But let's see. She said, calling a grown woman a good girl will always be creepy and dismissive. Well, I'll let you guys actually listen to it so you guys can hear the contents on it. Let's see. Okay, mildly. Being in a relationship with an addict is so hard, and getting them clean sometimes feels like it's fixed everything. But people generally are addicted for underlying reasons, which are the problem. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him because he makes excuses for himself. About how he was a child actor and all the things, like when he was in the movie Holes, his co-star, who was like the camp counselor in the movie, like literally verbally abused him, and, stuff from his childhood with his father and stuff like that. So it's probably a ton. I mean, he's a child actor. Who knows what he was put through. And then I think that the method messes some actors up. Like if you're not like really grounded in who you are and you start taking in all these roles of like different things, um, I think eventually like it messes with your mind and you'll see the roles that he's been taking. It's creepily kind of like what he's going through in real life after the fact. Like it's these crazy roles that he plays. Like I remember seeing him in Disturbia and I didn't sleep for like 3 days after watching Disturbia. So I can't imagine having to like act it out day in and day out. But I mean, at the end of the day, he shouldn't be abusive. Like he's like I said, he's a terror. But anyway, so it says, how they first met and within a week or two of dating, he's kind of like love bombing her. And he convinces her, like, hey, you should come move out of London, come move with me to LA. But he was already experiencing frequent rage bouts and jealousy towards her because she was with Robert Pattinson at the time, and he would always accuse her of, you know, um, being with him or rushing him into the relationship. And he'd literally escalate just like the smallest little disagreements into like apocalyptic level stuff. Um, it says he would take something as innocent as Talia kissing another man on the cheek as being like betrayal or being polite to a waiter or whatever. And other people said that like he would make them like not look at other people so they would have to like keep their heads down because they were so scared to like even look up because they'd be like, "Oh, you're looking at that guy," whatever. So it was pretty toxic. So it's pretty much just explaining how toxic he was. I want to find so this is the part that I wanted to read. Um Oh, it says he demanded Talia join him while he watched documentaries about murdered women before bed and refused to allow her to sleep with any clothing on. Talia would often text friends in the middle of the night to devise a plan to escape his home. Similarly, when LaBeouf was filming the movie The Tax Collector, in which he played a gangster, he took on the role in real life. During one incident, while Talia was driving with him, LaBeouf pulled a pistol from a compartment while he boasted to Talia which he boasted that was illegal to possess in California. On another occasion, LaBeouf attempted to scare Talia by warning her that he pulled out one of his firearms on set and threatened others with it, bragging to Talia that he enjoyed getting their attention. So he would go around on set acting like it was method or whatever, but it was like literally terrorizing. And he's done this in his most recent set. LaBeouf made the horrific boast to Talia that in order to get into character for his role, he would drive around neighborhoods in Los Angeles and shoot stray dogs. So this is where is Rose's still here? Roses said on Monday that he was eating cats or and then it was like eating dogs or whatever, but he never ate them. I think it was two stories mixed up because um there's like a parody skit that's called Cannibal Shia or whatever that somebody made where they're saying that Shia LaBeouf is like a cannibal. So I think it was like two stories mixed up. But so just to clarify, it was just that he was running around shooting dogs. I did sleuth it for like, you know, 20, 30 minutes last night where I was like, I need to find if there's, because I was like, wouldn't there be like reports of like stray dogs being shot? So I looked in Pasadena and I did find two, but it was actually kind of sad how many I found of stray dogs being shot, but they arrested the guy in Pasadena. It was a guy who was breeding dogs or whatever, and then he shot um, these two strays that were trying to get into his gate or whatever. Um, and then I checked LA area, and all I found was another case in La Miranda, which is close to LA. But again, that guy got arrested too. So I didn't find any like legit proof that there was any dead dogs. So I was telling DFJ yesterday when I was because we were all like confused, like, wait, is he eating dogs? I'm like, somebody should report him. Like, that's weird. Um, but yeah, I was telling her that I think he might have been posturing, like, oh, look, I'm a badass or whatever. He claimed he killed them because he wanted to know what it felt like to take a life so he could get into the mindset of a killer for his role. Again, that's why I'm saying that it's crazy how method he's willing to go. He knew that Talia is a great lover of dogs and that she's very close to her own dog. So it was just, that admission of wanton animal cruelty profoundly disturbed and terrified her. Um, and then they're talking about Valentine's Day where he, basically physically abused her and he wouldn't let her go to sleep. He was strangling her, all kinds of stuff. It's really horrific stuff. I don't want to it's too early in the morning for y'all I linked the document in the bottom if y'all want to do like a late night read of it because I'm like, it is way too early in the morning to be talking about strangling and screaming and it's pretty horrific stuff. So anyways, it goes on to say that incident. It says that she attempted to escape multiple times, intending to leave LA. However, he'd always show up unannounced. And it says that her housekeeper witnessed an incident where he started to yell at her that she better come with me. Like basically, he wasn't letting her leave. Um, and so she has a witness. Talia's housekeeper says, that he had lifted her in the air. He did all kinds of stuff to her. That she went to her side to be like, the housekeeper was like, you're crying, you're weak, whatever. She was there for her. So then she started getting like unusual physical symptoms. And then this is the part where, she talks about the STD. She went to the physician. Then it talks about his prior history of abuse. And this is the woman that actually did come forward because Mia Goth didn't and ended up getting back together with him and having a baby with him. So he dated her from 2010 to 2011, Carolyn. And so it goes on to depict that abuse if you guys want to read the whole Carolyn side saga. And then his history of arrests and violence. So look, here's where you guys will see all of this. Drunk driving caused him to hit another vehicle. And the only reason why he didn't go to jail for that was because he was with a DUI or whatever. And it's because the other car actually ran a red light. So it ended up being the other car's fault. But he was drunk during it. So he got lucky with that one. But look, Sherman Oaks detained by police. The performance of Cabaret where he was drunk. That was in Austin, Texas. Oh, and this is the one with Mia Goth. In Germany, LaBeouf's vicious verbal assault on Goth was captured on video by passerbys, where he basically like, if I had stayed there, I would have killed her. And then as recently as 2020, he was charged in Los Angeles with misdemeanor battery and theft. So this is the story where he enlists her former assistant to try and like threaten her with the text messages and all that. If you guys want to get all that tea, you guys could read through that. And so basically, this is the first cause of action, which was sexual battery. So I don't know if this is going to come into play with the NDA because the law that she's citing that it's illegal to have an NDA is for sexual assault. So I'd love for like an attorney to take a deep dive on this to see if there is a difference or there's not, because Rosengart is saying it's the same thing. Second cause of action was just for straight up battery, and then for just straight up assault, and then intentional infliction of emotional harm, gross negligence, and then there's Be Free. Shout out to Be Free. I don't know. I like him as a lawyer. I mean, it was really well written. I mean, it made you like actually like envision what was going on. As horrific as it was, like you almost felt like you were there. It was like he was flinging her everywhere. It was horrifying, but he got the point across of like how horrifying it was and how this man needs to face consequences. So I feel like he did good in writing it. So let's just get into the very latest. FKA TWIGS Shia LaBeouf settle sexual assault lawsuit. So this was July of 2025. It was supposed to go to trial, I believe, in October of this year. And so right before they were getting ready, I think on the 14th, they were doing like the pre-trial stuff, like setting the trial date and all that stuff. They ended up settling. So we read this statement that they made, that they're committed to forging a constructive path forward, and we have agreed to settle our case out of court. While the details will remain private, we wish each other happiness, professional success, and peace in the future. And this is still in July of 2025. Some people said that him and Mia broke up in January, but I think they broke up around October because I remember still seeing a picture of them, paparazzi picture, as late as March of 2025. So I don't know when exactly they broke up, but I'm assuming that they were still together here because she's like, I wish him success. Like, we're just gonna squash this and hopefully he's a changed man. She probably was like, he has a kid now, he's married. I don't know if they got remarried, him and Mia Goth or not, but like she probably just thought like he's fixed, but apparently he was not fixed. So anyways, they did the settlement. And then let's get into, so if you guys wanted to go look at the entire case file, it's also linked at the bottom. So this is the 2020 case right here. So that's why I was telling you guys that they kept doing a continuance for like the discovery conferences and all that. And then next thing you know, there's the request for dismissal, and she dismisses the case with prejudice. But if you guys wanted to go look at all the filings and stuff, like in LA court, it's on like SDNY where things seem like to go way faster. Like, think about it. She put it in 2020 and it was barely going to like the it was barely going into like the informal discovery conferences and stuff. Like it took a long time. I'm surprised that the Blake stuff is literally about to go to trial. It was like a year. Like this was 4 years, 4 years of, and I don't know if it's because they were going through mediation or trying to work things out or whatever, but if you guys wanted to scope that out, it's down there for all the nerdy super sleuths. And then here's the latest case. I also linked that at the bottom. Um, and so this is what she's filed, the dispute and all that. If you guys want to check up on it, like what's the latest, we'll get to the at the end what's the latest that she has filed. But this is what she did file was the complaint for declaration of relief. And at the beaches here, it says, Rosa says, I wonder why Freedman is quitting these clients, though. He quit this one, he quit the Rebel one, and quite a few others. Well, did he quit them or did they quit him? That's what we don't know. Miley, I'm a B free stan because I mean he literally turned Baldoni's case around. I feel like he saved that case. Because when she filed her stuff, everybody was against Baldoni, and his writing is good. His writing's good. Roses. It was two stories I mixed up, but it was the guy from Sons of Anarchy that ate cat. Has anybody reported that guy to PETA? Like, how are people just eating cats and it's okay? And yeah, he might have kept her tied up so she wouldn't leave. I don't know. Rosa says I'm a Freedman stan too. There will be no be free slander on my watch, though. There's just certain lawyers that I like. Like I don't like that Jose Baez, like, Casey Anthony was obviously guilty, but I did like his lawyer work. So I don't know. I like the whole practice of lawyering, like it's like sports, like a football game or something, which I know it's probably weird to some people, but so here's the complaint, and it's 13. And what I love about Talia's complaints is like she's not filing like no 60, 70 page complaint. She files these little short complaints that are like, here's my story, and this is what happened. So Matthew also writes very well. This is Matthew Rosengart of Britney Spears fame. And although he did get Jamie Lee Spears to let her out of the conservatorship, I have a small chip on my shoulder for him, with all due respect, because I know Britney Spears calls him her dad and like, has such respect for him, and he's really well liked in the Britney Spears community. But I just felt like he could have done more. And maybe he couldn't. Maybe he was up against, really big powers, and he's just like, I did what I could, and it's best for you to just let it be. And, because of all the discovery that it would have entailed and prying into Britney's life and stuff. But I honestly thought that a lot more people were going to go down after the conservatorship was done. So just a small chip on Matthew, but he wrote really well here. He says, this is a case about justice and law, not money. Miss Barnett is an internationally acclaimed singer-songwriter and Grammy Award winner, and she has nothing to gain from this case other than either professionally or financially. She filed this action to right a wrong, and also on behalf of other women who are the victims of sexual and domestic violence who do not have the resources to speak out and defend themselves from predators. So it's almost the same as, in so doing, she seeks to ensure that survivors of sexual misconduct are not bullied or silent like she was by these agreements that violate California law and public policy. Shia LaBeouf has tried to control Talia Barnett for the better part of a decade. First, he S8'd her. Next, years after Miss Barnett filed her 2020 lawsuit against him for that misconduct, he sought to silence her by extracting a settlement document containing terms that are unlawful under California's Stand Together Against Non-Disclosure Act, STAND Act, which was designed to protect and give voice to survivors like Miss Barnett by invalidating portions of confidentiality provisions, or NDAs, in settlements of cases like Miss Barnett's 2020 lawsuit. Most recently, in December 2025, LaBeouf filed a secret arbitration complaint against Miss Barnett, in which he improperly sought exorbitant amounts of money from her for her supposed violation of the settlement agreement. The unlawful, they're calling it unlawful, but a lot of the media is calling it illegal, NDA provisions. LaBeouf's arbitration claim was that Miss Barnett had breached the settlement's NDA by making generic statements in an interview published by The Hollywood Reporter. And so we have that interview, so you guys can let me know if, she spoke. She doesn't even say his name. Specifically, in response to a THR journalist's question whether she felt safe, she responded, "No, I wouldn't say I feel safe. I feel really passionate about being involved with organizations such as Sister Space and No More to help survivors in any way that I can. I think it's less about me at this point and more about looking forward, just, moving on with my life." So she's basically saying she just wants to move on with her life, but she's saying that she was just answering a question, that she wasn't trying to bring it up in any kind of like nefarious way or whatever. And I mean, I believe her. I mean, at the same time, though, she gave the interview in October, and her album was coming out, a couple weeks later, like 2 weeks later in November. So I did notice that when she does talk about this stuff, she either has a tour announcement, because she again talked about it in January, and then her tour was announced in February. So I'm not saying there's correlation there, but it's like maybe to keep her name in the headlines, or maybe it was just an innocent question that she just answered and she didn't think like, oh, this might violate this NDA. LaBeouf's arbitration claim was legally frivolous for at least 3 reasons. Initially, even if the NDA provisions at issue were legal, valid, or enforceable, and they are not, Ms. Barnett's laudable, generic, and benign statements that she did not feel safe and is passionate about helping other survivors through her charity work did not violate its terms. Moreover, under the STAND Act and the important California public policy and legal principles behind it, the NDA is unlawful and void ab initio. Finally, LaBeouf, who has since been arrested for various violent crimes, engaged in erratic conduct and publicly uttered homophobic slurs, because right now they're trying to get him in New Orleans for hate crimes. So he had a third charge against him once people realized, because of the homophobic slurs, it was no longer like, I think it's still 3 counts of misdemeanor battery, but I think they're trying to get him with the hate crime. Could never prove any recoverable damages resulting from any alleged breach of the NDA by Ms. Barnett, and there was no such breach. Because although he has unfortunately further damaged himself and likely any prospect of future studio employment, he cannot claim that it's Ms. Barnett's comments that damaged him or his career. Ms. Barnett filed this action to vindicate her statutory right, and by extension, the rights of other survivors in the state of California, and to tell their stories as the victims of sexual abuse, sexual assault, and sexual battery. Ms. Barnett has been forced to do so because of LaBeouf's erroneous, preposterous legal positions that he is somehow not covered by the STAND Act because he was supposedly sued by Ms. Barnett in 2020 only for sexual battery and not sexual assault, and that the STAND Act does not cover him for sexual battery, even though, as matters of both common sense and law, the STAND Act covers both. So he's saying it does. LaBeouf's reprehensible conduct including his essay of Woman Speaks for Itself. His litigation tactics are also abusive. Indeed, they are facially unlawful, violating both the letter and the spirit of California law, as well as public policy designed to protect survivors of SA by invalidating secret NDAs. LaBeouf's campaign of intimidation and abuse of the legal system denigrates not just Ms. Barnett, but every survivor of SA. As the California legislature has made clear, survivors should have the right to tell their stories without fear or coercion, and California law does not and must not allow abusers and bullies to silence them through secret agreements containing unconscionable, unlawful gag orders. So it goes into the factual. Ms. Barnett sues in 2020. We went over all that. And that he publicly confessed to the misconduct. He did. He at one point said, like, I was an addict and I hurt people. And then he tried to walk it back later and say, like, that's their perspective and I'm going to let them air it out how they want to, but that's not how it happened. So it says Ms. Barnett decided to move on with her life and focus on her charities and all that. And after years of litigation, she just agreed to a settlement that would resolve it conclusively while also allowing LaBeouf to move on and to avoid an embarrassing public jury trial for them, a potentially enormous jury verdict against him, and further public condemnation. And so there's a footnote right here that just basically saying that it resolved like her 2020 lawsuit. Which I thought, like I said, I was like, wow, how grown up of them, and like what a great job, Bryan Freedman, that he just, they just settled out of court, like they both can move on, and there's, it doesn't have the public all up in their business. And so it seems like that's what she was trying to do. For reasons beyond the scope of this pleading, the settlement agreement contained a deficient and unlawful NDA. The settlement agreement's NDA is illegal under California's STAND Act. So that's what this is where they get into the logistics of what the STAND Act is, the legislative history of it. Despite the above settlement agreement, including vastly overbroad, improper confidentiality provisions that are illegal under these codes, among the most unconscionable provisions that could be inserted into a settlement. But that's what I'm saying. She had representation, so I don't understand if, like, did neither one of the lawyers realize that it was violating the Stand Act? Because his lawyer was still Shawn Holley. He has the same lawyer for both of these things. And she was a lawyer for Danny Masterson, and he claimed ineffective counsel by her. And then she was also Tory Lanez, I always say Lanez, Tory Lanez, and he also claimed ineffective counsel. And he alleged that she was actually working with Rock Nation and Jay-Z and Megan and all them. So, like I said, we'll get into her. But so I wonder if maybe she put that in there and Freedman missed it or something. Now that we're talking about how Freedman missed that filing, it was the defendants, the plaintiffs didn't match the causes of action in the Baldoni one. So I don't know if he was just overworked and overlooking things or what, but extending to a point of absurdity and unworkability, the NDA provisions that issue even purport to restrict the manner in which she could donate to charities related to domestic NRSA. In other words, the settlement seeks not only to silence her about her story, but also to silence her from supporting other survivors. So I'd be interested to see what it is, but there's a footnote saying that they're not going to include it, and if they do include it, that it's going to be in closed chambers only to the judge because the provisions are so like out of line. She's saying that she believes women have the right to tell their own stories of survival. She herself has tried to move on with her life since the 2025 settlement, focusing on her life in music. And I mean, for the most part, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why would she want to bring all this back up? She was doing like so good. So she's basically saying she doesn't want to be seen like a victim, and she did try to move on, and it was basically just the question that was asked. She's like, she responded with a benign and inoffensive statement of support for these nonprofit organizations. And no more, we know that she was supporting on the Baldoni Man Enough podcast. She's been a supporter of No More. And I believe she works for the charity or is like an ambassador for the Soul Sister, the DV charity in the UK. LaBeouf's response to this anodyne statement, which does not even reference him, was to sue Miss Barnett for breach of contract and a secret arbitration demand. So he sues her in a letter dated February 4th. And then Miss Barnett's new undersigned cancel. Oh, so this is Matthew who comes in on the 4th. So sometime in February, she does the thing in October. So I don't know when he did the arbitration. We don't have record of that. But sometime in February, Matthew replies and says, this is illegal and this should be voided. His response from his counsel was remarkable. So this is Shawn Holley. And this is where she basically says it doesn't apply to him because it was sexual battery, not sexual assault. LaBeouf proceeded to argue that the Stand Act section protections extend only to survivors of SA and not to the battery. According to LaBeouf's nonsensical legal defense, the California legislature made a special carve-out just to protect sexual batterers and concluded that sexual batterers should be free to silence their victims. So he goes on to say how preposterous that argument is. So it says, on the very same day that LaBeouf took these offensive positions in response to her letter, he was arrested in New Orleans on 2 counts of battery. So when he responded must have been February 17th because that's when he was arrested. And then a week later on the 28th, he did the YouTube video on Channel 5, the Channel 5 with Andrew podcast, where he repeatedly brought up his relationship with her. And so he's basically saying like, Matthew's like, rules for thee, but not for me. Like you're saying she broke it. And then you are you are sending this breach of contract thing to her lawyers, but then yet you're also talking about it now too, breaking your own. And so we'll show you guys that video. So this is where they say, in the abundance of caution, the unlawful NDA provisions are only generally referenced because the extent necessary, Ms. Barnett will provide the actual provisions at issue for in-camera review. So they don't want to put it out there. Unlike what we're going to see tomorrow, where Kim and her mom tried to get the NDA that they signed with Ray J under seal, and the judge told them no. And so that's why we're going to get to see it tomorrow. Because it's out there. So there's the parties, the venue and jurisdiction. Obviously, if you guys want to read all the extra stuff, and this is just basically the same thing about it. The first cause of action is just declaratory relief. So she's not asking for any money. And just that she just wants the NDA to basically not be enforceable, that it's null and void, basically. Unenforceable and void. But there is this, she does want attorney's fees. And then there's that one quote that I was saying in the beginning, for such other relief that the court seems proper. So I don't know if they want to give her money or what, but it is going to be a jury trial that she's seeking. So there's the filing. Let me see. Let's see what the chat is up to. Oh my God, roses. The Sons of Anarchy guy died after he ate the cat. He jumped off the top of the building. This is crazy for this early in the morning. Wow, that's crazy though. Well, at least he's not eating cats anymore. Let's see. Oh, Bizio is multitasking. Oh, you were in Bachi's last live? Yeah, I was there initially. She said it was only going to be like a 30-minute live, and I was there, and then I ended up falling asleep. So yeah, let's hide that, and let's get into the video. I'm going to play the video, you guys, but I have to remove it because my audio went out, so I have to remove it off the stage and then come back, because that way it'll play the audio. Okay, so we're going to play the interview first. And again, if you guys want to read those or share them, if you're a content creator and you're watching this and you wanted to share the docs on your page, or if you wanted to read the docs, all the docs are linked in the description. So the whole case files for both cases are linked in the description, and both of the actual lawsuits. I tried to find the answer from Shia LaBeouf for the 2021, but I could not find that one. So that's the only one that's missing, is that answer. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this for you guys, and then you guys can let me know. Wait, let me stop sharing. Okay, hold on. Because there's like dual sharing. And thank you everyone for being here this morning. If you haven't hit the like button, hit that like. And if you're part of replay crew, hit the like as well. Okay, here we go. So here's all the tea of what he said. You guys can tell me in the chat what y'all think, or if you're a replay crew, leave it in the comments. Because I'm like, should we read her articles first, or nah, I'm just gonna do the interview first and then read what she said. Oh no, I got the ring of death. Hopefully it works. It's loading. Should I refresh it? Let me try and refresh.
I thought you did a... Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 40. Pretty good job on the John Bernthal podcast.
Oh, yeah.
By addressing that kind of pipeline that you had from controversy to, I guess...
Okay, wait, hold on.
When I was first buying this crib and all that, yep, that was about...
What I did was I went to transcript. Hold on, I got to do it all over again, you guys. Sorry. Show transcript, and then here I just typed in TWIGS. So if you guys ever want like to find a certain spot, that's how you do it. You go into the transcript, and then you can search the transcript, and then it'll take you right there. So here we go. If it's just not going to load, it's not going to let us watch it. It's at 34:22. We should just give it a second. I knew it was too good to be true that we weren't we hadn't had any tech difficulties. All right, let's read the People magazine and then see if this will, let's see, what was it? 34:22.
That's the best plan on the whole platform. Again, just use my link, my QR code, and boom, you're in their ground news.
You mentioned heartbreak as a major thing.
In my life in general, not now, but yeah, I mean, that's what brought me out here for sure. That's what motivated the move, yeah. I'm out there now, but I was there when I came out, you know what I mean? When I was first buying this crib and all that, yep. That was
All right,
about
we'll just play it from here, okay, guys?
3 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, one of the hard parts about being a public figure of your stature is like all of your personal life is in the media, good, bad, and ugly. I thought you did a pretty good job on the John Bernthal podcast.
Oh, yeah.
By addressing that kind of pipeline that you had from controversy to, I guess, sobriety and getting serious about your life, figuring out what behavior patterns put you in the position to be in positions like the ones that got written about significantly.
Yeah.
Looking back at that whole chapter, you know, as far as the major controversy and everything like that 2 or 3 years ago, how do you look back in the
rear
rearview?
view? TWIGS and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, she's a good girl, bro. That's a good girl.
But looking back in the rear view, do you feel like working the program after that helps you kind of rectify?
No, because
So you see, whereas she was asked like, hey, in regards to this case, like, do you still feel safe or whatever? So she's like, it was like the direct question. And he's kind of like asking him just about his problems in general. And he like brings it up himself. He's like, oh, you mean about TWIGS? So keep that in mind.
You know, sometimes when you get arrested, the court just says, hey, you got to go do this or that to like mitigate charges, you know? So they force you to do like rehab and like go to, you know, anger management. So like, that's not what the issue with me and her was. The issue with me and her had to do with jealousy and bullshit, manipulation, and some stuff she talked about and some stuff that, you know what I mean? But that's my fault too right there, you know what I mean? That's on me too. It's not on her, that's on me. That's a good girl. She's a fucking incredible artist, bro. Pay attention to her work. She's amazing.
When you say it's on you, like,
whatever she said, run with most of it.
Were you able to work some of that stuff out behind closed doors?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Because America is like a lot of times built on exile, you know, and like carceral methods of like when someone does something wrong, a lot of times the standard is like banish them from public life, banish them.
How?
That's just how, that's kind of the
I wish you could. Leave me the fuck alone. You mean put me in the banished spot. Let me party, dude. Let me go there.
But I guess.
But it's so funny because he's like talking about cancel culture, but it's like Shia is a hot mess. He keeps messing up over and over and over. It's not like he just did it once, and we're not like Jonathan Majors, who, you know, did one thing and still to this day he's married to Megan Good. Anytime he does anything, like he's in a movie and you'll read the media little snippet at the very bottom, and by the way, he was blah blah blah, and brings up the DV, which technically wasn't even really DV because they charged him with unintentional assault. Basically, he assaulted her while in the process of doing something and she got hurt, which is what the jury found him actually guilty of. But someone like him who was like, it was like a one-time thing. And this is like multiple women, multiple men in bar fights. He's just a hot mess. But let's continue.
The idea is like, you know, you mentioned it earlier, like when you go to jail, you took responsibility for it.
Yeah.
So it's like when you mess up, when you're drunk and you do something wrong, you hurt somebody, what is the path to restitution? Is it like living, you know, in the proper way to minimize that in the future? Or is it like taking actionable steps behind closed doors to like rectify that shit?
Mm-hmm. You got to make amends. First thing you got to do is you got to say what you did. Then you got to say how it's never going to happen again. And then you got to show and prove.
What do you think is the best way to like show and prove?
He's like, it's never going to happen again. But you guys, it was at least that I counted like 9. It all started like in 2008, like with he wouldn't leave Walgreens and it was like a trespassing, whatever. But then after that, it just starts escalating and escalating. So I'm just like, okay, it's never going to happen again. But it's like, he just keeps doing it.
After something like that.
Something like which?
Just anything, like going to jail, getting into a fight.
Like which part?
I guess we could go one by one.
There you go.
With the TWIGS thing.
TWIGS thing. So one way you can never run into that again is, you know, be straight up with people right away. When the relationship isn't working out, walk away.
And then as far as the situation with like bar fights and shit, how would you minimize that in the future?
With bar fights and shit, how you minimize that in the future? Boy, you got me. Wait a second. I got a better answer. Give me
He needs to stop drinking and stop going to bars.
second, bro.
Okay, cool.
I had a real, look how smart I was right here, bro. I look like a fucking scholar right here with the shit. Look at my fucking, look how I did it right here. Wait, look at the shape, fool.
You do look
okay,
pretty
stop
smart.
for a second. Let me think for a second. Look at the shape though. I look like I'm thinking, huh?
Hold on, let me go back to the
Look at I'm
shots.
thinking hard as fuck, bro. Oh my God. I'm thinking so hard. What was the question?
It's like the whole thing is like, if you're gonna keep staying out, partying, having fun,
yeah,
probably gonna want to like create almost a harm reduction strategy.
Here's the truth. Here's the truth. On Mardi Gras, everybody's got motivations on Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is Mardi Gras. God bless these dudes. I'm sorry it happened. Mardi Gras.
Yeah, but it was he'd done the bar fights before, so he can't use it was Mardi Gras and I got too drunk. Like, no, you've had bar fights before.
They want to make it an extra thing. I understand. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead. Get it. Go.
Well, I just think, right, like if you're gonna stay out and keep doing this.
Look, here's my truth. I'm in the street all day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm outside all day long before Mardi Gras. After Mardi Gras, I'm outside all day long. This city is love, bro. I get no fucking weirdo from no weird. There's not an ounce, not a smidgen of any weirdo out here with me walking around. Yeah. It's love, nonstop love. It's nonstop love from both sides.
You feel like it's different in LA in that way?
No, LA's love too. Bro, I'm like Will Smith. I'm like an uncle, dog. Yeah. So I just move around. It's love everywhere. I don't get love. I get love pretty much everywhere. The minute I get into trouble is with a person who is after something.
After what kind of thing? Like inciting a reaction?
I am an opportunity sometimes to someone. That's not to minimize my behavior, but I get it. I'm bright as fuck when I walk around, and I get, listen, if you're like a Twigs fan or something like, I don't know, bro. I have no fucking idea, bro. It's not my business. Here's what I know. I can only deal with my side. My side is this. My behavior, bullshit. I got to deal with that. Does that mean I got to go to rehab again? I'm just not into it, bro. I don't think my answers are there. I don't. I genuinely don't. If I genuinely did, I'd go. I don't think I have a drinking problem. I think I have a different problem, and I'm going to address it.
And what's that problem?
I think I have a small man complex, some kind of Napoleonic.
So he goes, I don't know what it is. He has a small man complex, but I'm going to link it. I didn't link it down there, but I didn't realize how, like, I hadn't actually watched the entire clip. I was just reading the transcript, but I want to watch the whole thing and just see. It seems like he's just making a bunch of excuses. He's like, I'm so intelligent, this and that, but it's like, if you were that intelligent, now you have a baby. You have no excuse. Like, before you were just, whatever, young and dumb. And like now you're older, you have a whole baby. But that's what he said. So you guys, I know Mercurial is saying like, nah, him still calling her a good girl is weird. Maybe he was just trying to be like, she's a good girl and I'm a bad guy type of thing. But yeah, Miley says, I went to Mardi Gras and got blackout drunk over a couple of days. I never got into a fight. That is not the vibe. That's what I'm saying. He can't use, it seemed like a lot of excuses. So if you're part of Replay Crew, y'all can leave it in the comments if y'all think that it was just full of excuses and he's the one who actually brought up Twigs. So I think that in that way, Matthew was right, where the way he brought up Twigs was, it's kind of like how Blake Lively does, like rules for me and not for thee, or rules for thee and not for me. And yes, Miley says, you got to walk the walk, bro. Sorry, without change behavior, it's just manipulation. And we're going to get into a source who basically says that that's the type of person he is. FKA Twigs says she's moving on after settling assault lawsuit with Shia LaBeouf, but I wouldn't say I feel safe. So this is where she gave an interview to The Hollywood Reporter. And so it says, when asked if she feels a sense of safety moving forward after dropping her lawsuit, so she was directly asked, after dropping your lawsuit, do you feel a sense of safety? She says, no, I wouldn't say I feel safe. The singer-songwriter did mention her involvement with organizations dedicated to raising awareness. I feel really passionate about being involved with organizations such as Sister Space and No More to help survivors in any way that I can. I think it's less about me at this point and more about looking forward, just, moving on with my life. So she's just trying to like, answer the question, but kind of move on with it, put more of an emphasis on these organizations. And like, she's saying she just wants to move on. But then she gave another interview to Elle. And this one wasn't mentioned in there, but she gives another one where she does talk again about, she's like, I'm reaching that age where I can really look back on my life and I can see so many things that have been beautiful and amazing and other things that have been really brutal and violent. I'm realizing that I can hold my love of life and my artistry and the beauty in my life, and I can also hold the brutality and the sadness and the violence. I can hold both those things at the same time, and that feels really good. So she's talking about the physical violence, I guess, but it's not even clear that it's about Shia. But she gave this one right before her tour was announced in February, and then she did the other one right before the album was announced. But again, it doesn't mention his name. He actually mentioned her name. So I don't know. What do you guys think? If she violated some kind, they're basically saying that the inclusion of that she can't talk about organizations, or that she can't, that was illegal. And I mean, I think as far as like the organizations and what you can donate to, it seems a bit much. But if she agreed and got paid for it and got money for it, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe she didn't know, but she did get money in exchange for those terms, you know, like that's why you have lawyers to read all the fine print and stuff. But it seems like both lawyers dropped the ball. So here it's FKA TWIGS reignites legal battle against Shia LaBeouf, citing illegal NDA. So we went over the agreement. The only reason why I brought this up is because they gave statements to the Hollywood Reporter. And this is where he gives wait, is this not the one that has the full statement? It might be a different one. Did I lose the one that had the full statement? I might have lost that one. Dang it. Because there's one where Shawn Holley has the full statement. Dang it, I might have closed that window and lost it. Let me see. Yeah, this is just talking about the settlement again. Okay, I'll see if I can find Shawn Holley's statement. Let me see if it's under recently closed, because I might have just accidentally closed it or something. You know, I can't. I'll look for it here in a second. So let's just continue. This is Shawn Holley. This is his lawyer. And so she's right here. Shawn Holley. She represented. She was part of the defense team of OJ's defense team. But she went by a different last name because then she got married. But she's represented Justin Bieber, Lindsay Lohan, Kanye West, Paris Hilton, Michelle Rodriguez, the Kardashians, Cat Williams, Shamar Moore, Michael Jackson, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, The Game, Axl Rose, Mike Tyson. And somebody said Danny Masterson will do anything to get out of jail. Yeah. But she seems to like represent a lot of like problematic men, because it's like Danny Masterson and then Tory Lanez. So I don't know. Obviously, this is all alleged by other people, but I don't know if you know, she's the one who overlooked that NDA, and like who's at fault? Is it Shawn or is it Bryan Freedman? Like they were both each, you know, they were both the lawyer for each of their parties. Like who's to blame for that not being a legit NDA? Like how does that work? Who's held accountable for that? And then we have Matthew Rosengart, who like super professional. It's citing all these awards. He's part of the firm Greenberg Tarrig LLP, and he represented Eddie Vedder, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jimmy Butler, Steven Spielberg, Sean Penn. So that's who we have on both sides fighting this out, you guys. And then we're going to get into, I'll see if I can find the Shawn Holley statement here super quick, but we're going to get into the timeline of Shia LaBeouf. So you guys, this is called the Shia LaBeouf crash out when I do the timestamps. So TMZ, the only reason I know we don't stand TMZ, but they had all these cute little boxes of every time they reported on him, and it tells the story so plainly. So this is where she files for the battery suit, right? His lawyer, Shawn Holley, then goes to say, this is in 2020, that he needs long-term or inpatient treatment, and not just inpatient treatment, but long-term treatment. Like he's got an addiction. He does the whole, I need to go to rehab thing. Then she gives a TV interview that we saw earlier, talking about the case. And this is when he had the battery and theft case. And then enter Mia Goth. So as he's going through all this, this is in May of 2021. By November, he's back with Mia Goth. And then she has, you know, the baby bump. She might be pregnant, whatever. There they are at the store, and she's indeed pregnant. The other girl that he was with is Margaret Qualley. That's who it was. That he was in a video with her in between his breakup with her, or his breakup with FKA TWIGS. He got with Margaret Qualley after he did a music video with her, and then this lawsuit got filed, and then it seemed like he got back with Mia Goth. And so then we're continuing the Shia LaBeouf crash out down here. So then it says that his new film. So then now he started. That's what I'm saying, the method thing. Now he plays Padre Pio in that movie. He plays a priest. So then he turns Catholic, and he says, I've turned Catholic and I was suicidal, but now he goes into this church path. So now he's he's Shia, but he's also this Padre Pio character, it seems like, because he goes full in on this whole Catholicism and like, you know, I'm changed. And so this is after his daughter's born, he takes her to Universal Studios. It seems like he's just being a dad. He has a confrontation with some fans here, and then they settle the lawsuit, right? And then here in 2026 is when he has a crash out in New Orleans. Punches a bar employee. And it's so funny because right after he had this crash out, he had a different crash out like a day later, which is crazy in New Orleans too. Shia LaBeouf and wife Mia Goth were separated because at that point she's like, oh, I hope people know that we're not together anymore. So she made it clear. And then they got obviously the video. And then, okay, this is, where he's like headbutting the guy in the video. And then this is where it's saying that he moved to New Orleans to be with his dad because she basically kicked him out of the house. And he said that it was to be closer to his dad, but other sources said she asked him to move out. And then there he is seen with fans and he's partying after, like, it's like he doesn't learn. He just went to jail, whatever. He's out there partying, still drinking. And she's concerned about him. He needs help. And then this is talking about his new movie and how it's concerning. We're going to get into all that in the next slide. And then here was like a wild clip from him in New Orleans where he was asking people if they go to church and how they should go to church and stuff and how he's Catholic, but it makes him weird for being Catholic. Is really weird interaction. And then here's where they said that it's a hate crime because it was gay slurs when he got into that fight. And here's where Mia Goth is saying that she wants him to go to rehab. Sorry. And then we have, there's his mugshot. It was released. And then here is where on the 22nd, so not even a couple days after he gets arrested, he's already with some other girl, some mystery woman, right? And the cops are called out to his home in Louisiana because it says that it was an alleged fight between exes. So it doesn't say that it's Shia LaBeouf's ex or what, but he was dating some other girl, Dania or something. So I wonder if like when he met this girl, that like her and the other girl got into a fight or something, but somebody like punched him and then they asked him if it was him or if maybe it was just somebody on his property that this happened to. But yeah, so there's like some kind of DV situation that happens where the man is the victim and they ask him like, are you in a DV situation, whatever. And then this is where he goes to court and the judge slams because they added another charge to his criminal charges. So he had two, when they initially arrested him on the 17th, he gets 2 battery charges. Then they add a third. And when he goes to court, they, I guess, test him for alcohol or whatever, because he went out on bail under the conditions that he, gets into a rehab program and he doesn't drink or whatever. And when he was at that court date, they didn't say like he was under the influence or he had alcohol in his system or whatever, but the judge basically alludes to that saying like, you still haven't learned type of thing. Like you need to lock in. So anyways, he wanted to go to Rome with his dad and they denied it, which they later asked the different judge in the same district and he approved it for his dad's baptism. So he goes to Rome, right? He goes to Rome up here. And this is where he gave that interview about his drinking problem. And I love the stories where it's like Mia Goth is unbothered. Because you guys have to remember when Mia Goth first met him, she wasn't like a popular, like Pearl and X and all those movies. They weren't like big. Like she became bigger. So that's why I'm probably sure that she's just like, dude, you're a hot mess. Like I'm pretty much a, star now, like a Hollywood star. Like she was one of the up and comers in 2025. Like she had, I think it was X, Pearl, and what's the third is the 3 movies that are in the series. And she's really good in them. I watched them. Oh, and then Frankenstein recently, which is an Oscar movie, an Oscar nominated movie. So anyways, he's approved for the Rome thing, but this is where I'm like, he hasn't learned. So he's out here just like wreaking havoc in the hotel and spiraling. This one right here. Shia LaBeouf yells at woman sitting beside him at restaurant. And it ends up being that this woman that he's sitting beside is his girlfriend. So he was sitting there yelling at her and she was just kind of like taking it, just sitting there. So it's just like, he has not learned. And then he obviously sues her. And then up here, it's the last article where he says that, or TMZ saying, here he is with his girlfriend, they're no longer fighting or whatever. But I kind of just wanted to go through that little timeline because I wanted to show you guys like how everything happened from when we last saw him with the settlement to now. Like, he still hasn't learned. It was mostly this picture and this picture. I'm like, you're just crashing out. It's like you're repeating the same cycle with different women. It's the craziest thing. So he's a hot mess. And this is the one where a source says that he's a master manipulator and he will face a tragic ending if he doesn't stop boozing. So they fear that a punishment won't truly help him. And so there's his mugshot, and he just looks so different. He just looks old and just, I mean, it's pretty sad. If you know him from Even Stevens, like, it's just sad what ended up happening to him. It says he's just so good at convincing people and potential partners that they all fall for it. But it's like, it's public knowledge. So I don't understand what this other woman is doing. Like, he just got arrested. This guy has got to find a way to get sober or die. Eventually, this is going to have a tragic ending. His behavior sounds like an addict. It's just sad that someone with so much to live for continuously puts himself at risk. And again, he keeps saying I'm flawed and all this stuff, but he's not getting the help that he needs. So it goes into the whole story of how he needs rehab or whatever. But I think down here it talks about his other past relationships. Let's see, there's FKA TWIGS. And then Mia Goth, who also wanted him to get help. And then here's Carolyn Foe, who joined the lawsuit. It says, along with Goth, another unnamed former lover had also considered joining. However, they both pulled out, and Goth soon reconciled with LaBeouf, which we told you guys about. Twigs is super private and only ever wanted him to get help. She didn't want to bring the lawsuit. But she only took it to legal action when he refused. She just didn't want other women to go through what she went through. But as you can see, like, the lawsuit is out there and this other girl is dating him now. So I don't understand how that's going to deter other women. I don't know. Unless he just gets, like, arrested. That's why I'm like, I don't understand how none of this is criminal. If he's had so many bar fights, like, at what point did they give him jail time? Or is it because it's in different cities? I don't know. Y'all can sound off in the chat. So this is where the source says he's a master manipulator. As well as playing the good guy and getting his life back on track, he also plays the role of the bad boy about town. It's why he's as successful as an actor as he is. And saying that, you know, he dated Megan Fox, Margaret. So Megan Fox, he did Transformers with. Margaret Qualley, he did a music video with. And I believe Carey Mulligan, he did a movie with as well. So it just seems that he gets his girlfriends from movies or things that he does. And then he isolates them and, you know, just continues the pattern. So it says they reached out. So this is last month, a woman called Drina. This is the girl that he was dating before this girl, who claimed she dated him last year, and she posted audio of her hurling abuse at her. I don't have TikTok. I just have it on the PC. So, I mean, on the Mac. So I couldn't get that clip. I wanted to see that clip, but apparently he's still doing it. She's genuinely convinced he's going to end up in the hospital. Because he harms himself or because someone is so scared they'll have him committed. The arrest seems right on schedule for the latter timeline. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like at some point he needs jail time to, like, I mean, but they're saying that that's not even going to stop him. So who knows? Y'all can sound off on, like, what y'all think. Like, how do we stop Shia from doing this? Like, do we stop giving him movie role? He plays psychotic characters. What do we do? So it said he bought a 3-bedroom cottage in New Orleans. And then talks about the criminal stuff. So it says, so can he return to Hollywood? Getting insurance for this guy on a project that it's going to cost money, claimed the legal source. While the other insider noted he needs to do the work for real, not just lip service, and then we will see. So he has another attorney for his criminal stuff, Sarah Chernevsky. He had another court date March 19th, but nobody reported on it. And I looked him up in the Orleans Parish like detainee to see if I could find his inmate number and then to see if I could find his case. And I typed in LaBeouf, I typed in Shia, like nothing came up. So I don't know if he has a different name that he goes by, but I couldn't find like what happened in March 19th. I'm thinking it was just like a check-in and they drug tested him or like, you know, alcohol tested him, but nobody has reported on what happened. So that's pending. We're going to keep an eye out on what happens with this criminal stuff. But apparently he's out on bond. So that brings us to the next question. Did Shia LaBeouf's method acting go too far on the Rooster Prince in Oklahoma? So there's this article. This is his latest project where people were basically saying that he was terrorizing the set. And so that's why when I'm like, Blake Lively talking about a hostile set, I'm like, Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon was hostile. Like, this seems extremely hostile. So It says, let me go down to where they spill all the tea. 5 production sources tell Rolling Stone they perceive LaBeouf as adopting a method acting approach for the role, where an actor fully inhabits a character both on camera and off. But 3 of the crew members asserted that LaBeouf blurred those lines. He would seemingly dip in and out of the technique, and people still could call him Shia. They weren't sure if his behavior could be attributed to the character or not. Like, was it him or was it the character? LaBeouf allegedly pushed the dynamic to the extreme, created what one source described as a hostile work environment. He says, there's method acting and there's whatever the F happened on the Rooster Prince, said a second production source. A third member added that it was a running joke that rather than method acting, he was meth head acting. I thought this was so cheeky and like, wow. No crew members indicated to Rolling Stone that they thought that he was actually using the drug. It was more like just his behavior. A fourth person who worked on the film tempered allegations about LaBeouf's behavior by stressing that the film dealt with very difficult and emotional themes based on Soshkin's life. And it was on those days that had very difficult subject matter that he put everyone on edge a little bit just due to the subject matter. And I believe we'll look in IMDb what this movie's about, but I think it was like he's a mental health patient or something, and he's like going cross country with his brother. So I think it's about someone who's like not mentally well. This wouldn't be the first time that LaBeouf had approached his work in an immersive fashion, and this is where they said that he was shooting the straight dogs for the tax collector. Throughout the month that Rooster Prince was filmed in Oklahoma, he would threaten to walk off set, and his outbursts, according to them, were mostly directed at Soskin, the director, and his co-star White, who he allegedly frequently belittled to others. He made a lot of comments regularly against Jackson, saying that he couldn't act, that he can't act for him, and it was so uncomfortable to be around, and it had a lot of us thinking. So he's not even like just abusing women, he's abusing like grown men, it seems like. What is it like for Jackson to be here at work and having to hear the person he has to work with every day constantly criticizing him and putting him down? The reps they tried to contact and didn't say anything. And then he had an altercation at a bar, always at a bar, where he jumped over. They were filming a scene at the bar, and there was like live bulls, I guess, the rodeo movie. And he hopped over the little gate thing where they had the bull, and he almost, I guess, got hit by the bull or whatever. But it was basically like, they're like, this is a liability. Like, we could lose, you know, they had like a contract with like the bar to like film there. And they were like, dude, you put all that on the line. So it says multiple videos show him making a dash across the pen. And everyone was like, oh my God, this is about to get bad. Like, are we going to witness like him getting stabbed up or whatever? And people were screaming like, what the F are you doing? What the F are you doing? And then they just grabbed him and said, we got to go, and left the bar. So he is going to be filming God of the Rodeo again in Oklahoma as well, which is his next film. So I don't even know if that's still going to go through or what, now that all the stuff. And then it says he posted a note that said, free me. So I don't know if he's just in some like weird mental episode or just the method. You guys can sound off if you're a replay crew. You can put down in the comment whether you think method has anything to do with it. Is it just the alcohol? Is it the combination of both? Does method have nothing to do with it? I know there's been other actors, people say that Heath Ledger, that's why he, supposedly, I don't know if it was an intentional overdose, unintentional overdose, but a lot of people think that when he went method for the Joker, and there's a lot of people who have gone method that haven't been quite right when they come out, because they don't know how to Austin Butler went method for Elvis, and he had the accent for like 4 years where his parents were like, can we get your normal voice back or whatever? I mean, that wasn't like a harmful method thing, but it took him a while before he's like, oh, I felt like Austin. He literally felt like Elvis for like 2 years after he finished the movie. It was crazy scary, he said. I did a white paper on it. Maybe one day I'll pull it up and just for funsies one day. This is before like ChatGPT and stuff. Just for funsies, I did a white paper on method acting, and it had Heath Ledger, talked about Heath Ledger, and all these other actors who do it. So maybe I'll pull it up and read it for you guys one of these days. LaBeouf has been previously vocal about his purported sobriety, disclosing he was in therapy and 12-step programs after the FKA stuff. And he's like, I'm not cured of my PTSD and alcoholism, but I am committed to doing what I need to do to recover. And I'll forever be sorry to the people that I may have harmed along the way. To that, I say, what about this? What about the yelling at the restaurant? That's all I gotta say. To that, I say that. So there's the whole method of it. Here's the movies that he's doing. This movie, The Rooster Prince, it says, when a renowned Harvard psychiatrist has a manic break and gets arrested, his estranged younger brother must drive him across the country in a wild bipolar odyssey that might heal or destroy their relationship. So he's the Harvard psychiatrist with the manic break that gets arrested. That's the role that he plays in that movie. So is this just, he's still thinking that he's this Eli guy? Eli is the name of the guy that he plays. And that's why he's like being destructive, getting arrested. I don't know. I was trying to pair up like his arrest and stuff, and I was like, no, maybe it's just him. Because look, this is Padre Pio that he did in 2022 when he was supposedly doing good and was going to church and all that stuff. And I don't know what Megalopolis, what role he played in that one. Claudio Pulcher, I haven't seen it. But I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I should like try and match him up. But God of Rodeo is his next one, if he even makes it. And then Angel of Death was, look, it's about a Jewish pathologist who was forced to assist Joseph Mengele with medical experiments at Auschwitz concentration camps during World War II. So he actually wrote this script and has been trying to shop it for like 10 years. And he finally got it. Like there was this, I forget who the director is, but he's like well-renowned. And it was going to shoot in Poland. And it was basically, he was going to play the role. He was going to direct it. And I guess he wrote it, and he might have acted in it, but he wasn't sure. But it was going to be about this, guy who assists someone in doing all these like crazy medical experiments. So I was like, that would have made him even more crazy. But when it was filming in July of last year, it fell through because the director and the American producers that provided the money didn't see eye to eye on like how to portray it. So it was like DOA. Apparently, I mean, it's still showing pre-production, but apparently he doesn't want to do it, or the director isn't on board anymore. So I bet he's probably going to shop it around. So anyways, that's the whole Shia of it all. FKA Twigs, we know that she did the very last episode of Man Enough podcast for Justin Baldoni before, all of this happened in October. So Blake Lively filed in December. In October of 2024, she's like the power of speaking out, FKA Twigs on healing and accountability. And she talks about the whole Shia stuff there. So this is kind of like her little timeline journey. And then her North American tour was canceled. And one of the things that I found interesting was that she lost a lot of money from canceling it. And it was really crazy because it sounds like very infantile. And a lot of these celebrities are, because so many people do things for you. So it helped me kind of better understand why she stayed with him for so long, when it's like, she had the money, she had the resources, all this stuff. It's like, basically her tour was canceled because she like the people that were in charge of like setting up her visas and setting up the buses and how to like do all that stuff didn't do it. And so she was like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So like basically like I was depending on other people and they let me down or whatever. So it goes to say that she ended up like learning how. She's like none of it was done. I don't know how to do that because it's not my job. But you know what? I learned a lot. Now I know about buses and freighting and how many days it takes to get from New York to Mexico in a truck and how to get through customs. So it seems like she was empowered after it. And then she talks about, my back was against the wall and I came out kicking. So she ended up putting together another show and then touring a couple dates. And she will now be performing at Coachella. So, basically it was like she fell for a little bit, but I did notice that she did lose out on a ton of money. But the thing is, she's not asking for money. So it's not money motivated, I don't think. And then something that I found crazy too is that she used to be with WME. And then in November 18th of 2025, she signed with UTA. So I wonder if that was because of like anything like with WME. It was before the Ari stuff came out. So I don't think it had anything to do with Ari, but that was just another little tidbit that I found. And then what she's up to is her next movie is going to be The Lonely Woman. And then she had a couple of movies lined up during all this. The Carpenter's Son and Mother Mary have come out since then. So she was filming movies and stuff. That's what I'm saying. Her career seemed like it was like doing pretty great. She's getting acting roles, her music, her Grammys. And now basically she's just in the news for this thing all over again, like dredging up the past. So I don't get it. So this is the latest. This is what she filed. It was this packet, alternative dispute resolution packet. And I only pulled it up because it had like all the little definitions of it, and I'll link it. I don't think I linked it at the bottom, but I thought this was cool for us who are following like all the legal stuff. Like, what is a negotiation? What is mediation? These are all forms of alternative dispute resolution. And this is where it talks about the arbitration. So it's a less formal than a trial, and they present evidence to an arbitrator who decides the outcome. So there's not like a jury trial or anything. So that's what he was trying to do, like a secret arbitration, saying like, you owe me money or whatever. But this is kind of the things that they can go through settlement conference, which they did probably last time. But I thought this was like a cool little like cheat sheet of like how the process works. So that's where that case is at. I'm going to check the chat real quick, and we will end the stream with what's the latest on Lyman and Blake Lively. Go through those super quick. Let's see what everyone's saying. The movie of Shia and Mia is so creepy. Yeah, it was Nymphomaniac. And so that's what I'm saying. When she first met him, she was just like an up-and-comer. Oh, yeah, I won't let you type the word. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I've seen her in Pearl and X and the third one. I've seen her in all three of those, and I don't really watch horror movies, but she was really good. It's got like layers of like getting old and like, you know, like being a woman and aging. Like it's horror, but it's got like other layers into it. So I'm just gonna check the chat real. Yeah, Heath couldn't sleep after doing method. Molly, you're right. Let's see what else. Hey Neil, good morning. He's saying that sounds like an awful movie. You could be replay crew. I know I started early. I'm so sorry. I started early, but it's because I knew it was going to go for a little bit. Cause I have some in real life stuff that I had to take care of. And I was like, if I go over an hour, like I can't start at 9. So I'm glad that I started earlier, at 8 CST. Well, it's just my usual time, which is 9 EST. I was starting an hour later, actually. Okay, so Lively, we're going to do the Lively thing. So you guys, that was everything, that the whole tea on the FKA TWIGS. So now you guys can be more informed. Water cooler talks. I don't know if anybody's even talking about this case. I mean, most people are probably like, oh, he's a hot mess and we don't care. But for those who do wanted to know all the tea, I pretty much laid it all out for y'all. Now let's get into the whole Blake Lively of it all. These are the outstanding motions. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it better. That we're waiting from Lyman. You know that GIF? I wish we could do GIFs in the chat. That GIF with the, I think it's the little rascal that's like tapping his fingers, like we're waiting. Or the one GIF with, is it Pablo Escobar on the swing? Like we're literally waiting. So the big one is the MSJ, his decision on the MSJ dismissal, the MJOP dismissal. We also have her motion for spoliation sanctions. This is where they were talking about the signal chats that they're like, they try to delete evidence. And so like, no evidence is the evidence. And then we have her motion for attorney's fees with the 47.1. We also have Jen Abel's motion for conditional summary judgment regarding Jones Works motion for spoliation sanctions against Jen Abel. And then here are the upcoming dates. We have that video conference, April 2nd. And then we have April 10th, pretrial filings, oppositions to motions on the mine on the 17th, 24th. So this is the extended schedule here. Remember that he granted them that extension. So those are the new dates. And then May 18th is obviously the trial. And if you see, we over here, docket updates, we got to give a shout out to docket updates. I know we usually start the show, but since we did FKA TWIGS to start with, but it's 46 days until trial. Bring your florals, and go support docket updates as they're working on the timeline and trying to get this nice and ready for trial. Let me see. And then the other latest is the opinion of not actually Golden. I love this video, and I loved her like 90s rapper chain. Like I thought that was so cool. I love the fashion. Like there's such cool fashion with content creators. LGA also has like really cute fashion, but anyways, she basically was saying that there's no way this case is trial ready by Thursday, April 2nd. She's like, even if it gets dropped like today, they're not going to have enough time to like discuss. It's going to be like too rushed or whatever. So she was thinking yesterday, she made a different video that either it was going to get fully dismissed, or at the hearing on April 2nd, they were going to extend and the trial wasn't going to be May 18th because there's no way that they're going to be able to fit all this stuff in. But she was basically saying that there's scenario 1 right here. Oh, I guess this is the video. I thought it was the other video, but scenario 1 is the case could be fully resolved. Scenario 2, basically it just gets dropped. The order drops and then there's a settlement or delay. Scenario 3, the judge isn't ready yet. He may just not be simply finished with the ruling and they're just going to go over the pretrial stuff and he's not going to talk about that. What's unlikely, immediate trial readiness. Cannot imagine a scenario where the order drops and trial proceeds immediately. Final take, she reiterates that all possibilities are still open, but based on timing, she believes immediate trial prep is unrealistic. Her current guess is that this Thursday will likely be about next steps, not jumping straight into trial. So they're going to try and like go through all the stuff. Because basically what they asked for, let me pull it up. What they asked for was a Zoom conference it says it right here. Zoom conference to discuss their concerns, to discuss Lively's concerns about, or the Wayfair party's concerns about Lively's documentation and all the stuff that she was like, that was irrelevant, all the discovery and all that stuff. So that's what I think they're going to be talking about. I don't know, like what else. It seems like that's what the Zoom conference is about. It's a pretrial conference to discuss this whole discovery dispute on like them not getting it timely and all that stuff. And then we have to end the show. We have, with Not Actually Golden, she had another video that she made after this one. I don't know if I can find it real quick. Let me see. I might be able to find it here on It Ends With Lawsuits. Because there was two of them. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Could the ALA be the whole thing? So her second video was about how she thinks that and a lot of people had kind of like clocked this about the actor loan out agreement, but she like literally broke it down and went and researched it. She's saying that the actor loan out agreement is the linchpin that would make the California claims disappear if she didn't sign it. But not only that, what she researched was whether it's a question of law or a question of fact for the Title VII, because she was basically saying that the California stuff will, get wiped out or whatever if she didn't sign the ALA. But then the two Title VII claims would remain, the SH and the retaliation, and Bryan Freedman's defamation. So it would be 3 claims. So then she's saying that the Title VII would get X'd out because of the fact that she went to go look up whether it's a question of law or a question of fact that of her being an independent contractor or an employee. So it says she ended up going to go research it, because at first she's like, I'm not going to go do research for free. But then she was like all sleuths, it keeps you up at night and you're like, no, I'm just going to go sleuth it out. So she sleuthed it out and she's like, she finds that in the Second Circuit that it is a question of law. That means the judge can decide it at summary judgment. This makes it much easier for the court to dismiss these claims early. So it says that basically it all lies on this ALA. If the ALA is invalid, California claims are gone. If ALA is invalid, employee argument weakens and the Title VII claims are at risk. If defamation also fails, because she's thinking that the defamation is just going to get thrown out, potentially the entire case disappears. So I'm one that's rooting for the entire case to disappear. There was people in the comments that were like, I want it to go to trial. I want him to get vindicated. I know that Blake is probably praying it disappears because then she could just blame the system. But I'm sure she'll probably appeal or something. I don't know. But I just for the Wayfair parties to just move on with their lives. I feel like the public already knows what's up. We saw most of the evidence that they had, and not only that, but they have the Stephanie Jones defamation stuff, which we'll get into at the end of tomorrow's show after the Kim stuff, because the Jones case is actually getting juicy. It's actually more juicy than the Lively Baldoni case right now. So they still have that chance to clear their name during that lawsuit. So I'm hoping it's dismissed. If you're part of Replay Crew, leave it in the comments or just let me know in the chat right now if you think you'd rather get it dismissed, or if you want, what are you looking forward to? Going to trial, what do you want him to rule, Judge Lyman? And then the last thing that we're going to go into is these pictures. So you guys know that as bad news start coming out for Blake Lively, she starts to double down on her social media. So she posted this yesterday, work from home, and she scratched out home and put roller coaster. And someone on Reddit basically was like, work from home? You literally said in your deposition that you can't get no work. What work are you doing from home? But I think she's trying to use SEO. I don't know if I know that Ashley Brianna Eve was following Charlie Kirk. I don't know if she still does the PR stuff or whatever. I don't know who's doing PR stuff, but because I know that there was a lot of headlines where it's like, you know, this is a roller coaster, like it's a roller coaster with this lawsuit or whatever. I don't know if she's doing SEO, because for this one, I feel like it's like strongly SEO, where it says, I've never had so much fun being humiliated in public. And there was a ton of stuff from like Without a Crystal Ball and other headlines from like, I believe it was TMZ, where it was like Blake Lively gets humiliated in like, you know, the judge's decision, or another humiliating loss for Blake Lively. So I'm wondering if it's like some kind of SEO thing, or if she's just like, you know, saying that she's having fun being humiliated in public, like, haha, like calling herself out like an Eminem thing or what. But she tags these two girls that apparently she went with to this Nickelodeon park or whatever. And they're the owners of Stony Clover. So I was like, she went from like hanging out with Taylor Swift and Gigi Hadid. Now we know she hangs out with the old woman on Great Bake Off, the Stony Clover owners. So she's kind of like flossing her friends and stuff. And then so this is, I think, one of the girls here. Be There on the Double. It's Paw Patrol. And then I believe this is Ryan's fist, or it might be a woman's fist too. At first I thought this was Ryan, but I'm like, since they're like the sisters, like, does this look like a woman hand or a man hand? Because look at the shoes too. I thought it looked like a man. Like, I'm like, I think, and is that a man watch or a girl watch? I don't know. I feel bad if it's one of the sisters and I'm like, oh, her hand looks manly. Because then I'm like, I'm looking at the hand and it kind of looks like womany. But I'm like, is it Ryan, her? Because I know this is Blake with all the jumbo bracelets. Unless she was the one wearing the jean jacket. But oh, Kendall Loren posted this. So one of the sisters posted this. So it might be the two sisters and then Blake. Might be. But she put grown up. So I don't know if they just went without the kids to the Nickelodeon studio, but that's what she posted yesterday, last night. And some of the citizens are basically saying that it's, you know, it's giving performative. This is mostly about the Wrexham stuff, but it says most of the comments were not positive everywhere else. But they believe she's trying to cover up bad press. That's the consensus from citizens. So I think that's all our tabs, y'all. Tomorrow we are going to be doing Objection Live Choose Your Fighter. It's going to be the NDA Wars Part 2, which is Ray J's counterclaim saying that they violated the confidentiality agreement when they did a settlement over the sex tape. And then we'll also get into the court case, which is defamation against Ray J for saying that the FBI was investigating the Kardashians for RICO. So we're going to get into those cases tomorrow. And finally, I'm going to be doing a 17 questions with Bocce. So I posted it on my community. You guys can go straight to her video and click it. If you go to the community, and then you can leave the questions in her video, or you can leave it in the comment in my post. But if you guys have any questions for me that you want to answer, you can either put them here, or if you're on TikTok, she also posted it to TikTok. You can put the questions in the comments there. So that's going to be something that I'm doing, I think, tomorrow, but it's not going to be live. It's going to be pre-recorded. So you guys get your questions in, and I'll remind you guys tomorrow of all that. And we will, let me just check the chat as we leave. Who all is, let me get bigger here. Oh, Abe is in the middle of moving across the country. Yeah, so I don't know who's doing the PR stuff, but to me, it seemed like it was a PR move. So if you watch to the very end, the keyword for watching till the end is, oh, thank you so much, Bizio. Coffee time or tequila? LOL. Thank you, CJ. So glad you're back. Were you here yesterday when we were doing the debate of Met Cafe versus 7-Eleven coffee? And then somebody had donated, they're like, for a drink of your choice. So I was like, yeah, I did Met Cafe again. No tequila. It's too early in the morning for all that. Oh, and she also gifted 5 Citizen Journalist memberships, Citizen Perks. I appreciate you. For the $2.99, you guys just are able to have 1 free super chat a month. And I haven't done anything that's like members only or anything cool yet, but I plan on, like, you know, getting the membership stuff like to be cool for you guys. But you get a little badge and stuff, and you're able to use the little emojis. Oh, thank you for putting the links to all the other people. But yeah, I appreciate you, Bizio. You're always like amazing. She says, thank you, CJ. We'll see you tomorrow. Yep. Big love to all the chat. Oh, and we didn't think of a word. If you watched it all the way, why don't you comment PR move if you watched it all the way? Because we're going to do, or should we do dismissal? Let's do dismissal as the key word. If you watched it all the way, we'll do dismissal because that's what we want. That's what I want. I want a dismissal. But if you're part of replay crew, let us know what you want from Judge Lyman. Sound off on choose your fighter. I don't know. I might just choose FKA. I was going to say I'm not choosing anybody, but I feel like she's been through enough. I might just end up choosing her as my fighter. So choose your fighter down in the chat. And make sure that you guys help my algo since I'm trying to build back up. Leave a comment after you guys are done here because it'll help me get back into the YouTube algorithm after being gone for so long. So I appreciate you guys so much. Take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow.